For centuries, the sea had held its secrets, and most of them were better left buried. Miles off the Alaskan coast, the research vessel Argonaut drifted silently above a deep trench known as Black Maw. The team aboard marine biologists, sonar experts, and deep-sea engineers had been studying seismic activity that had recently surged to unprecedented levels. Dr. Elara Kincaid, lead biologist, stood at the bridge, eyes glued to the sonar screen. "There it is again," she muttered. A pattern pulses, almost rhythmic, had begun to rise from the trench. Not tectonic, not natural, something else. "I'm telling you," Elara whispered, voice trembling. "It's not an earthquake, it's a signal." The rest of the crew, skeptical at first, began to feel the tension rise. The ocean below them was calm, too calm. Not even a breeze stirred the waves. Then came the first scream from the deep-sea microphone. A bone-chilling sound erupted through the speakers. Not mechanical, not geological. It howled. "Turn it off!" someone yelled. The sound was cut, but the horror lingered. Later that night, under a pale crescent moon, the water around Argonaut began to bubble. Elara stood alone on the observation deck, scanning the surface. Then she saw something massive, moving beneath the waves. Its shape was undefined, a blur of tendrils and shifting bulk, but its eyes, hundreds of them, glimmered faintly in the moonlight. Her breath caught. She stumbled back. "Captain," she whispered into her radio. "We have movement. I repeat, something is rising." The water split open with a deafening roar. From the trench below, things long buried began to stir. The darkness spat out creatures older than any fossil, older than any myth. Writhing leviathans with translucent skin, pulsating organs, and maws lined with rotating teeth climbed into the night. They did not swim, they slithered through the water like living shadows. The crew panicked. Floodlights snapped on, slicing through the black ocean, illuminating a nightmare. Tentacled monstrosities, humanoid figures fused with coral and barnacle-covered armor. Long spines that cracked the surface like skeletal spears. "Dear God," whispered the engineer Marcus. "They were never extinct, just asleep." But the Argonaut had awakened them. Suddenly, a sharp thud slammed into the hull. Then another. The vessel rocked violently. "Engines! Full reverse!" barked Captain Reyes, trying to regain control. Below deck, something climbed onto the side of the ship. The lights flickered. Screams echoed through the corridors. A grotesque figura, woman-shaped creature, with glassy eyes and gills, instead of a mouth, lurched into the hallway. Her fingers were webbed and sharpened into claws. She moved like she remembered being human once, but something had twisted her into something else. Elara and Marcus slammed the bulkhead shut behind them. "Pressure's dropping in lower deck 3, shouted the comms officer. "They're breaching!" The ocean itself seemed to conspire against them. Waves slammed harder. The fog thickened. Radar failed. All lines of communication went silent. And still, they camerizing. Dozens of them now. Maybe hundreds. Some flew, if it could be called that, using wings more like jellyfish than feathers. Others clung to the hull like parasites, drilling, screeching. Elara knew what had happened. Ancient sonar logs from pre-human civilizations hinted at it. Creatures made of the dark Theathuli. She'd called them in her paper, dismissed by every journal and peer. "We broke the seal," she said. This trench was their tomb. Captain Reyes held the deck, eyes fierce but hands shaking. "We need to run. We've got depth charges. Maybe—" "No," Elara interrupted. You don't fight this. You contain it. She turned to Marcus. The seismic patterns, remember the pulse intervals? He nodded. A warning system. Or a lock, she said. A frequency that keeps them dormant. We need to mimic it, broadcast it again. Loud. With backup power failing, the team rushed to rewire the sonar transmitter to emit the dormant frequency. Ilara input the signal manually, fingers trembling as the creatures crawled closer. One smashed a window on the bridge, with an elongated limb covered in bioluminescent suckers. Now, she screamed. They activated the signal. For a moment, nothing. Then silence. The creatures froze. Some shrieked. Some thrashed violently, as if trying to fight it. But one by one, they turned back. Some sank, some swam, and some simply vanished, melting into the sea like mist. The sea calmed. Ilara collapsed to her knees. The Argonaut limped back to port days later, battered and silent. Of the original crew of 23, only 9 survived. No one believed the story. The black box audio was corrupted. Satellite feeds mysteriously blank. The trench now pulsed quietly. Once more. But Ilara knew. They hadn't killed them. They had simply rocked them back to sleep. For now.